Gentlemen.
There he is.
What's up, Daddy?
Look at it.
Look at it, baby.
What up, man? Gold Jackets. What's happening with you? What's happening with you?
Oh, got the gold jacket.
What's up with you?
What's up, Daddy?
Good to see you, brother.
Man,
For
same,
sure.
same,
Always
same,
love, for
you
sure.
know.
Looking good, dog.
Appreciate it.
And the deep boys. And that deep boys that scare folks. How you doing, man? Channing, yes, sir.
Where y'all want
What's
me
your
at
name,
over
bro?
here?
I think they got
You right
this
there,
one
big dog?
here. Oh, it's good. Respect.
Yeah.
How many outs you got if I got pocket aces and you got ace jack?
So we poker now, huh?
Yeah, see, I don't gamble. I read that. It was like, yeah, he's had such and such amount of winnings. I was like, well, I ain't got no winnings, but I ain't got no losses.
Hey, there you go. Sometimes that's the best way to be.
Can I call myself a professional roulette player, or that's not nothing?
No, you can't. I mean, my daughters, they do a little roulette too.
Oh, I'm one of your daughters, huh?
You know, it's the big boy table, the poker
You
table.
like it? You like it, Chad? It all fit now.
Oh, I love him to be my father. Yeah, we doing good. We on the football team.
Hold up, limitless. Take a stomach cap, pinning it. I fought the head to witness it. Got my people feeling militant. Way I'm feeling, got me up. On the mission, got me up. Knowing me, I got the key. Only vision I can trust. Limitless. Take a stomach cap, pinning it. I fought the head to witness it. Got my people feeling militant. Way I'm feeling, got me up.
Well, man, Richard Seymour, Hall of Famer, man.
Thank you.
Welcome to the Pivot. It's Channing Crowder, Fred Taylor. I'm RC, man. Pivot fam, thank you for pivoting with us. This episode is brought to you by Crown Royal. I mean, that's just an amazing career, you know, and when you get inducted into the Hall of Fame, what was it, 2022?
2022.
Your presenter was your principal.
Right.
And, you know, you picked Titus, and talk a little bit about why you picked someone from South Carolina, someone that had sort of that influence on you for such a big moment.
Titus, for me, has been someone that has been instrumental in my growth, a pillar in the community. I wanted to get someone that would encompass and know about who I am as a person and who's poured into my life, who knows my family, who, you know, understands like, hey, if you come in late to class, he's the one that, Seymour, why aren't you here already? You know, so he was that guy, not only for me, but for a lot of my teammates. He knew everybody in the community, and I just thought he would be the perfect fit to really embody and encompass, you know, all of it.
Bro, even listen to your speech. It reminds me of Justin Tuck when we had him on.
Mm-hmm.
Y'all boys give everybody else credit. Oh, they did that. They did this. They did this. They
Right.
did.
Yeah.
Is it the opposite of swag? Like, bro, you big as hell. Like you used to dominate. We played against each other. Like why? Bro, like you can't never look at yourself like they didn't make it to the Hall of Fame. I don't know Titus. Titus couldn't choke the hell out of them goddamn guards like you was choking out them guards. Like why do you always push all your success on other folks?
Well, I think, you know, for me, it's about winning. I think as a competitor, whatever it takes to win, like, hey, you got the Pivot podcast, but I'm sure you guys don't care who get the credit. Like, if it's successful and it's doing great, like, that's what it was always about for me. It was about competing at the highest level. Like, what's worth having all of these things if you can't really share it with the people that you love and who've really poured into you? And that's what I've historically always been about. And even when in New England, I was a young guy that came in, but I was fortunate to be around veteran guys that really taught me the nuances of the game, taught me what it meant to be a pro, how to work, how to compete. Like what did that really look like on a daily basis? I've never felt like it was about what I really brought to the table. I mean, I've been blessed in that regard and, you know, had God-gifted ability, but at the end of the day, it was really about winning and what it really took to get there.
Rich, you talk about your time in New England. One of your former teammates, Mike, he's now taking over as the new head coach.
Right.
While one of your other former teammates, Gerard, he's no longer the coach there, only did 1 year. Was that experience somewhat of just an experiment?
I'm not sure. Like here's the thing. I mean, it's a tough business, right? I mean, it's a tough business. It's what have you done for me lately? And, you know, I think we always knew that Braves would be a head coach in this league at some point. Like, we played on the same side, and, Braves was always a guy. He was one of my all-time favorite teammates. Like, so if you played with him, you understand what he brought to the table. And we just knew he would be one of those guys that would, whether he went on to Ohio State, Houston, and Tennessee. And I thought he got a raw deal there.
Yeah.
But, the Crafts made the transition and switch. And it's unfortunate for Mayo, but I think he'd be a guy that, I'm sure he'll be a head coach. He'd just work his way back up the ladder.
All right. I'm glad we got that out the way. So Tom's an owner now. He's a part of it. Well,
Yeah.
so are you.
Right.
I think what has gone sort of kind of under the radar because of Tom Brady and obviously what he's accomplished, the greatest quarterback of all time, was that you also are a minority owner in the Las Vegas Raiders. What does that mean to you to parlay your football career and those successes into being not only a brand and a business, but a part owner of an NFL team?
I say it like this. How many of us really get to live out our dreams? Not only once for me, but twice. To play in the National Football League is a tremendous honor. But now I get to learn the business of football as well. And the beautiful part about that for me is it's not just on the field, but it's learning about merchandising sales. It's learning about Stadium Co. So encompassing the business of football, even though I played it, it was something for me. I remember being on the field in a Super Bowl, watching the Kraft family, seeing the kids, the grandkids running and playing on the field. And I always said to myself, what if that was me? It was a dream, it was a thought, but I never knew how I'd get there. But I was fortunate to build a lot of great relationships along the way. And, that really helped transition me and to lean on those relationships to get me to the point where I'm at. And like I said, it's a milestone achievement, something that I'm truly proud of. And, I feel like at this point, I'm really just scratching the surface. What's really important to me at the end of the day is I gave my life to football. Once I retired, I gave my life to my family in terms of what was important. And now my kids are transitioning out where they're all in college now. So it was a great time and opportunity personally to really get back out and lean on those relationships. And it was a difficult process, but I'll say this. At the end of the day, I didn't know whether becoming an NFL owner would happen for me, but I had a inner drive that almost wouldn't be good enough. And that was truly important to me because it got sticky along the way where it looked like it wasn't going to happen.
So what is, for people like myself who don't know, I don't know if you guys know, what is the process of becoming an NFL owner?
Well, just because I was in the Hall of Fame, it was a lot of red tape where they vetted you out to make sure that you were model citizens. All of the references that you had on your sheet, they called them and had 4 or 5 hour conversations. I had many conversations with Roger Goodell. Robert Kraft really helped me navigate this. But, also I'll say this to Mark Davis, he was the one that really opened up the opportunity. So I'll say this. So once the Raiders traded for me, I built a great relationship with Al Davis. And Al Davis, and I sat in a pretty unique spot. So, coming from a winning organization, and then I went out to Oakland, the players really, was like, hey, what should we do? How should we win? What does it take? And so I sat in a pretty unique spot of being a player that guys looked up to, but also being a truth fighter at the same time. They knew, okay, well, even when I spoke to the coaches, they knew I had the pulse of the team, but the players also knew that he was gonna keep it real with management. And so I sat in that spot. And so throughout that, Al Davis said, hey, Richard, once you're done playing, you can come into the front office. But my kids were young at that time, and that was my responsibility. And my wife's an East Coast girl, so we moved back east. But I stayed in constant contact with Mark Davis. And so Mark was like, hey, so we would always talk about football, team direction, that sort of thing. And then I said, well, hey, now that the kids are transitioning out, I'd like to come back, but I don't just want to come back and be in the front office or work towards being a GM. What do you think about, because the Raiders have always historically been about inclusion, diversity. And I said, if I come back and be a part of the organization, I would like to have some ownership and equity. And he said, like, let's explore that. I think you're the right guy to do it. You know, he opened up the door, and I'm super grateful for that. And then I just, you know, like I said, I leaned on the crafts. I leaned on Roger, and that's really how it took shape. I mean, a lot more involved than that. But if I stopped, this deal never happens. I felt like I was in a position where I needed to take advantage of the opportunities that we were given. And that's how I was as a player. I wanted my teammates to take advantage of the opportunities that they had. Yeah. Like at the end of the day, for me, I just say it's a milestone achievement. It's one of the, like, it's something, like I said, at the end of the day that I always wanted to hang my hat on in terms of, man, you're an owner in the National Football League. You know, like, I mean, that's, you know, to live that dream and to grow it out. And like I said, this journey for me is really just beginning.
Chan, I'm gonna ask you a question. You think he should put Mark Davis on his barber though?
Who was that? Oh, that little
got
ball.
Yeah, you know Mark Davis got it. Hey, you think?
That little Chucky cut with the red man.
Hey, if Richard was Chan, if he was a real friend, you know what I'm saying?
Laser tape. Tell him to get that laser tape. You said it's a milestone. It's really a flex. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, I own the Raiders. Like, you know what I'm saying? No matter what percent, what level, it's a flex. Like, yeah, I own the Raiders. And I understand what you're saying as a black man. But do you, like you saying, you look like the GM side, you love football. You love all levels of football.
Right.
The building the team, the playing the game, what you did at a high level, now the management side.
Right.
What part of influence does a minority owner have in a franchise? Because Brady's a part of it, you're a part of it, you know, some very smart football people, but do you know who they should draft in the damn 7th round? Like what's the influence that you really have on the organization?
Yeah, I think business is about having the right people. And I think at the end of the day, we put the right people in place and you want to let them do their job. Like whatever coach, whatever GM, whatever your resume is, you want to put the right people in the right places and let them make those decisions. Obviously, I'd love to be a part of that and they can lean on me as much as possible. But like at the end of the day, like I said, like this is about competing. It's about winning. You want to put the best product out on the field.
One more about the ownership thing.
Yeah.
I know what an ACH is. Isaiah, Cash App.
Right.
That's my money realm.
Right. Hey.
How do you send the money to buy a team to something?
I mean, you know, they got people in places. Call the banker. He'll make it happen.
And you just say, hey, I'm going to send you a couple millions of dollars.
It was a pretty check. It was a pretty
Hey,
check.
Chan, how does the conversation go though when you call your financial advisor? Yeah, so we're gonna move some money. I'm finna buy part of the Raiders. I want you to send this over.
What you say, Rich? What you say, Rich?
Is that a clothing line?
Right.
That is truly though an amazing achievement, and as a former player, but also you know as a black player, to have people like you start to sort of set that path, and there's going to be other players I'm sure who are going to come to you or watch this and listen to see how did Richard Seymour do it. And I think it starts by not only being an excellent player, but the sort of human that people want in front offices, that people want sitting in ownership seats. So just from me to you, man, congratulations on that.
You.
That's amazing.
No, I certainly appreciate that. And that was always important, you know, for me as well, just to be, you know, just to serve, to do my part, just to transition and bridge the gap in terms of, you know, what ownership should look like in the future moving forward. And it's time to have, you know, equity and stake in the team.
And I agree with RC in that. Definitely inspiring. But take us way back to a young kid in Gadsden, South Carolina.
Right.
You talk about the dream of playing football and getting to these positions, Hall of Fame, ownership. What was your upbringing like? Like, when did all of these dreams and everything start to manifest?
Yeah, well, I tell everybody I had a really balanced childhood growing up. Like, my dad gave me tough love. I worked with him in the summers. He was a contractor, so like the responsibility of, like, in the summertime, it wasn't playing games, it wasn't playing Nintendo. Like, I worked with my dad. He was a contractor, so we did a lot of, you know, brickwork, masonry work in the summers. But my mom, she worked at the magistrate office, and she was like, my mom is one of the nicest women that I know. And my dad, like, he's firm and tough, loved to have a great time. But I had that great balance growing up, and I grew up as the only child. So, like, I got the love and the attention, and they really poured into me. And so, like, I want to be as good a dad as my dad was to me, and to give it that to my kids as well. And so that tough love, that discipline, that work ethic is really what molded me, you know, into the man that I am today. And so, like, that's one of the most important things to me is, you know, making sure that, you know, my kids, they have that exact same rearing, you know, in terms of growing up, in terms of what's important. Once I retired, I could have went right into the front office at that point for the Raiders, but like I said, my kids were young, and that was the most important thing for me. Like, I've been with them every day, and now they're, you know, in college. So, and like I said, this is just a great opportunity for me to transition and to do what's next.
Mentioning your father, I just had an opportunity to watch my son play in the national championship. My dad was here, and, you know, we've shared so many of those moments. Years ago, we actually, on Father's Day, went to an NBA Finals game. My father, myself, and my son. And just to share that experiences and have my dad be there for my kids the way he was for me. You lost your father, horrifically lost your father. How did that murder-suicide affect you?
My dad was always my hero growing up. I said it in my Hall of Fame induction speech. But I think, you know, in life, you can't control what happens. You can control how you move forward. And so I've always just been very grateful for the blessings that I got the foundation of what it meant to be a man from him. And, you know, life happens, like life happens to all of us. And I can't, you know, say what should have happened, how things should have went. But I wanted to lean on and lean into, you know, everything that he's taught me along the way. And that's why I say, like, so I really just, you know, try to focus on that. You know, it's not a day that goes by that I don't really think about who he is and what he's meant to me. And I think at the end of the day, for me, I just still want to make him proud to say, you know, like, I'm his son, and I'm proud of who he was, you know, as my dad. I mean, not to leave my mom out of this. Like I said, I got, you know, that nurturing, that loving side from her, and that really built my foundation. And I said this too in my Hall of Fame speech. My mom took me to my first football tryout, and I was in the 8th grade, and I didn't even get out of the car. Like, I was actually afraid to go and play. Like, I was there in the car, and when I got out the car, well, I was about to get out the car, I looked over, I saw this big dude, looked like he had a beard. I looked at my mom like, I'm not going out there. I'm not gonna go and play ball. Like, so I didn't play football until my 9th grade year in high school. And so that's why I feel like what the Lord has for you, like, it's for you. And I've always just innately felt that, but then, like, I was just able to take that. And that's why I say it was just a God-given gift that I had just to play. But it wasn't something where I loved the game. I've always loved the game. Football was always huge, like, in our families. Like, we'd always watch it. My dad played, my uncles played, but I never played. I played other sports, and then I transitioned to football in high school, and then on to the University of Georgia. And
oh, you gotta say that.
He must have been.
Bulldogs in the house.
He must have grew late though. Like, I'm looking at him right now. In 8th grade, I was 5'3", 112 pounds.
He could have ate you.
Exactly. Like, ain't no way. Richard Seymour wasn't my size in 8th grade.
I'm having a little Ryan Clark for lunch.
Yeah,
and
you know what I'm saying?
some
You
broccoli.
talking about see a big dude with a beard. Hell, that was you.
But I was one of the kids too. Like, my dad didn't want to put me like in like to play pee-wee football, a little league. He didn't want to put me with the big kids because I was their size. Because he was like, I mean, you know, it can strip you of your confidence too early. And so I never did it. Like, I played basketball, I did track, baseball. But then when I got to high school is when I, you know, really leaned into the football side.
So you were like what's like Baby Huey? You were just a big boy out there.
Yeah, no. And I was kind of a late developer, a late bloomer. Like when you saw me play in the 9th grade, you wasn't gonna be like, oh man, he's a Hall of Famer. Like I had slow feet, I wasn't strong enough, I wasn't coordinated. Like it was all of those things. Like I was athletic, but it took time. But my junior and senior year in high school was when I came on, and then that's when I went to the University of Georgia. But I remember when I took a recruiting trip to Georgia. And at the time, Marcus Stroud was on the cover. He was on the cover of Sports Illustrated,
right?
Like coming out of the Gator, to the Bulldogs. But I remember when I saw Marcus Stroud, I said, you know what? I got to get in the weight room. Like his arms was that big. Yeah. Like, I mean, he was one of the biggest humans that I ever saw. And I was a year behind him. But I told my dad at that time, because it was just me and my dad went on a recruiting trip. And I told my dad, I said, I got to get in the weight room. Did you see him? Like, he was a monster. But, like, from there, that's when it just that competitive side, that competitive edge was like.
You hear how he's doubled down a few times and put emphasis on the University of Georgia.
They had I got love for the Gators.
No, you guys had a monster roster. I never understood why that didn't translate to national championship, because you talk about you, Marcus, and a lot of other guys that came on that defense, like the guys now that are in Philly. All of the Georgia guys today that are in Philly came from those national championship teams. But I've always known you and admired you as a real-life gentle giant, right? I tried to cut block you one time, and you just did like this. Yeah. And I was in the dirt. And you're a mean guy during the games, but like this and all the other interactions, you've always been very articulate, soft-spoken. I was at the Hall of Fame. I was in Canton when you gave your speech, and it just blew me away.
No,
right?
I appreciate it.
Because I do aspire to hopefully be in Canton someday.
No, and you will be. You
someday.
Will be. No, right? No, you will be.
Just being in that moment and just listening to you, I believe you gave the best speech that day across the board. And I say that even though you and Bo are in the same class, in preparation for that speech, like where does the inspiration come from?
Yeah, well, I mean, just like any speeches that you give, I mean, sometimes you have nerves before you speak. But I wanted the content of it to be what it should be. This is honestly what I did. I said, you know what? If I'm nervous in giving this speech, then I'm making it about me. Mm-hmm. I said, this is an opportunity to really give thanks and gratitude and show appreciation for all of the people who've poured into me, to your point, about what it means to be a Hall of Famer. And the brotherhood, like, I was actually okay if I got in or if I didn't, but now that I'm in, the brotherhood that you share with the guys and how they welcome you into a room that is unlike any other. Like I always was like, well, I mean, if it happens, but once it happened and once you're there, it's unlike anything that I've experienced in terms of the greats. And, obviously, I firmly believe in terms of being in the league when you were in the league, you were always one of the backs that you had to circle, like, you better stop 28, if you want to win this game. Yeah. And I will say this, to Fred T-Bone, and I will say this, I've always had a lot of, I say he couldn't cut. No, but I've always had a ton of respect and admiration for you as well, just the way you've always carried yourself. And I think we got into the SEC Hall of Fame together during that year. And I might have shared this with you then. You've always, had, a peace. Right. Yep. And an integrity that you've always walked with too. And it was always an admiration from afar. And I remember when we played one another, I might have tackled him, get up, say a few words. And he looked at me like, wasn't playing. All right, see, now that's enough. I said, Fred G, I
Hey,
love it.
just one of those moments, bro. Just one of those moments. But all you guys, man, Rodney, Willie Mack was probably the meanest, but just to be able to play against that legendary, I think it was the 07 when you guys were undefeated, or just playing against you guys and just having respect for everything that you've done, trying to knock off or slay a giant and how successful you've been, you know, you have respect for the guys. So you get out there, you talk, you look, you know, in the heat of the battle. Same thing with the Steelers and RC and those guys. But it's a huge respect for everybody, and that's how it always will be.
No, certainly. And it was always been a ton of admiration, you know, for me with you and everything you've done.
Hey, whiskey fans. Crown Royal is here with a gentle reminder that in life, it's not about what you got, but what you give.
Because when you pour a glass of Crown Royal, generosity is sure to follow.
Man, that's right. Bringing you and yours together with the celebration of royalty.
Freddie T, Pops always told me you drink it neat. I mean, with Crown Royal, you can discover that smooth really is a flavor. And man, it even comes in an iconic purple bag.
They call me OG. Everybody yells Unk in the airports. You know what? I like mine straight out the bottom. That purple bag, man, neat. Right there in the glass, man. This Crown is special. Y'all boys got to learn how to drink like a king.
I like mine chilled, RC. A little Crown and ginger. This is the real winner.
How about you, Chant?
Man, it's deluxe. And deluxe is in the details. It's been distilled and crafted since 1939. Fred, you got one of the first bottles out of that barrel, didn't you?
I mean, Freddie T, you know, there's always a special cheers. When I played for the Steelers, Deshae Townsend, now coaches in Detroit, he would always say, we clang them. When one brother makes a play, we all make a play.
And at the end of the day, please drink responsibly.
Speaking about the Patriots and stuff, and then Freddie, you went after.
Cup of coffee.
You was a cup of coffee after. But, bruh, like, being in AFC East, playing for the Dolphins, everybody talk about that Patriot way stuff.
Yeah.
The Patriot way was having Tom Brady. Because Belichick didn't do nothing without Tom. Got Tom. Y'all went crazy. Y'all won Super Bowls. Y'all had a dynasty. Like, the Patriot way, do your job and all that stuff. Like, what's your take on that that thought of the Patriot way? Well, I think every team in the league wants to have that.
Yeah.
But now Brady left New England, went to Tampa. Did Bruce Arians have the Patriot way? Because they went and won another one, bro. Like, what's your thought on that whole Patriot way thing? It doesn't really mean something.
Yeah, well, I'll say this. Even when you just say Bill Belichick, like, to me, and I've watched a lot of coaches prepare from college, you know, to other teams in the league. He's light years ahead of anybody that I've ever played for. Like, he was meticulous. He was, like, if you were a boxer, like, you'd want him in your corner. Like, he'd break down the art of boxing, the science, what you should do, what you shouldn't do, how it should look, but also had a way where you felt like it was genuine, it was transparent, it was authentic. You could feel him, and you wanted to play for him. Like, he gave you that. So, and he left no stone unturned. And so, like, I just feel like as a player, like, if we did what he wanted to get done, like, we'd win. Like, when you think about, like, even our defense, you know, myself, Vince Wilfork, Ty Warren, Willie McGinnis, you know, Mike Vrabel, Rodney Harrison, we still won 11 games without Brady that year. But the difference is when Peyton Manning went out, they got the first pick in the draft.
Yeah.
I mean, so it was that difference where, like, Tom, as great as he is, but he's always had, like, a team around him. I mean, I think Tom would say that exact same thing. Like, he would appreciate the teammates and the team that he had around him. And I'll say this, I mean, obviously, you know, maybe I'm a little biased, but I mean, Tom has always been super competitive, great leader, great teammate, and just a champion. Like, and he always played his best in the biggest moments. Mm-hmm. He embraced that. He relished in those moments, and I thought that was, you know, due to who he is, but also, you know, the preparation and the coaching. So I always like link. I link them together.
Be both of them.
Yeah, I link, you know, Bill and Brady together, and, you know, just what we built. I thought it was really special.
Y'all going 11-5. What was it, Castle?
Yeah, with Matt Castle.
That was the only time we won the division when I was playing. I still got my shirt and hat that's the AFC. You laughing, huh?
No. You like?
Is it lame to have the AFC East champion hat
Well,
and shirt?
I mean, it's difficult to do. Like, but you know, like I never touched the AFC trophy.
You ain't touch the hat or the
AFC
AFC East hat. We don't get no trophy. Yeah. You just get a hat and a shirt for winning the division. So that's not something.
Like I'd get those and I'd sign them
and give them
to some of the family.
Yeah, we on a different level.
Hey, we only got one though. You got to cherish that thing, man.
There you go.
Don't let Rich come in here and poo on your accomplishments.
Ed and Ray and T. Sizzle and them boys whooped our ass in the wild card round, and we was out of it. Yeah, so y'all probably had a better chance than we had.
We couldn't beat the good teams that year. That was the thing.
I appreciate that year. Thank you very much. We won the Super Bowl. You talked about Bill's preparation and how you said, okay, if we do everything that he wanted us to do, we get a W.
Right.
But there's also, with the Patriot way came a way that, at least on the outside, people say he dealt with humans within the building. When you see him going to North Carolina now and being the head coach, how do you see Bill making the transition of dealing with the Richard Seymours, Hall of Fame player and athlete, the Tom Brady, Hall of Fame player and athlete, Rodney Harrison, another one I feel that way about, Ty Law, all those guys. How does he deal with the 18 to 22-year-old to get him to feel the exact same way about the preparation as you guys did?
Honestly, I think that part, kind of remains to be seen, like how he, can he go in the living room and a recruit? And I think he'll say like that remains to be seen. Can he go and get the top guys in the country? And now, I mean, obviously when you think about it and you look at it, that's allegedly one of the reasons that, Coach Saban kind of transitioned out. When you talk about NIL, you talk about, leveling the playing field to a degree. What does that really look like? I think it's uncharted territories, but at the end of the day, I think his track record speaks for itself in terms of he has the cachet to go in and sit and talk to a lot of the top guys and say, hey, we're building a program where it's really a feeder system to go to the next level. And I know as a young player, I would want to be, a part of that because I'm like, hey man, he won Super Bowls. Like, I want to learn under him to grow in the game, and I want him to teach me what it means to be a pro. And so, even no different than Nick Saban, like when he was there, you look at a lot of the Alabama guys that like they had the mindset to take that next step to go on and be great pros.
Man, you talk very highly for a dude that just sent you off to Oakland to die.
Well, I'll say this.
What was that phone call like, Rich?
I'll say this. Again, like for me, like when things happen, like obviously I was bitter.
You didn't even show up for 5 days?
Yeah, I didn't. Yeah, they had to send me a letter. Al Davis said, he was like, we traded for you now, or like, where are you? Like, yeah.
Letter?
No, like when you hold out, they send you a 5-day letter that says, like, they're going to force you to either come in or terminate your contract or, like, so it's a league mandate that they had to send.
Wow. So what was it
Yeah,
about?
so I was just like,
how did you take the trade, though, to Oakland? What was it about that was hard to process?
Well, for me, we just finished preseason. My kids were in school. We just started the year for them. My kids at the time were like, we had 4 kids ages 5 and under, and they like in preschool and kindergarten, first grade. And so for me, the trade happened that Sunday, and the Raiders wanted me there that Monday. And I said, I'm not going nowhere right now. My kids just got in school. We'll figure out whenever I get there, whenever my family gets situated. And I mean, because you got to think about it. At the time, I might have had like 5 straight Pro Bowls. We just may have been coming off of like the 18-1 or whatever. And so I was just like at a place where as a player, like you feel like you're owed more respect than how it happened. Like, here's the thing. Business happens all the time, but it's a way you do things that's important to me. And so I just felt like at the time it wasn't handled appropriately. And so I just said, I'm going to do it. D-linemen are a little defiant in that regard. Like, and that's a part of also, like, I think what makes you, who you are, what makes you, like, great as a having that ability to kind of turn it on and turn it off when it's needed. And so I just wasn't ready to go at that time. Time moves on. You understand the business of football, how it happened. And, I can look back on it. And I'll say this. So the very next year, Mrs. Kraft, Robert's wife, passed away. And me and my wife went back to the funeral. A lot of times, like, guys can become bitter. But I always saw the bigger picture and said, I'm not going to let, my feelings, which were real, like, get in the way of the long-term, thought process of what I want to acquire and what I want to build. And so, I just say, like, to anybody, like, I think it's important to understand the bigger picture, not burn bridges and all of those things that, like I said, the values that I had, I was able to lean on. And even to this day, like, Robert and I, he's a dear friend of mine. Like, I lean on him a lot in terms of business experience and advice. And, he'll just call me and invite me up. So we just spend time in that way. And so, but if I would have just said, you know what, let me just scratch that, I don't think I'd be in the positions and have the opportunities that I do today.
They owed you to Oakland anyway for the Tucker rule. they was just trying to make things right. They was like, look, we took a Super Bowl from you guys. We're going to give you a Hall of Fame. Did anybody get on you? Did anybody talk to you about it when you got there?
Oh, man, I'm telling you, man. Like, all of the Raider fans at that time was like, okay, now you can tell us, was it a tuck rule or was it not? I mean, so we just shared in that. But, actually we had some run-ins I get a lot of fan mail about Roethlisberger. In Pittsburgh when I was with Oakland. Yeah, I get a lot of fan mail with the hit and this and that and other. Like, it's been,
A lot of people said you were dirty. They had actually, in studying for this, it was a whole article about how dirty you were. Somebody in Cleveland said it. Who was it? Hardwick or whatever from
Yeah, he had a lot to
from
say.
the Chargers said it. And then he gave like some like real Christian answer too. Like that's what you do when people say negative things about you.
Go to the Lord.
Well, yeah, hey Chan. Well, people are gonna say what they want to say, but my faith in God is what I take the field with.
People badmouth Jesus.
Jesus was spat on.
Hey, yo, where my whiskey fans at? Crown Royal is here with a gentle reminder that it's not about what you got, it's what you give.
I am telling y'all, man, when you pour a good glass of Crown Royal, generosity is sure to follow.
And you know what it is. Crown Royal is bringing you and your loved ones together in a celebration of what royalty tastes like.
Back when I used to do toasting, we would hang out. I make it quick, simple, and short. Good food, throwing good meat. Come on, let's eat. Yeah, man, now that I got old, you got to talk about your kids and your family. Praise God for health. It changed, but Crown Royal is still right there with me.
So, raise a glass of the good stuff.
Hey, y'all, raise a glass to the generous spirit of Crown Royal whiskey.
And remember, please drink responsibly.
Like, when I played, I didn't realize it until maybe about 3 years after I got done. Like, I had to really detach and unwind from, like, the character that I had already, like, built, like, in my head of who I was as a player. Like, so I'd look back, like, now and reflect on who I was, and I loved it. Like, here's the thing, like, I'd give my life when I played. Like, I had no problems. Like, I wanted to give all of me. I think now, who I am, I look back on that guy and say, like, you had to take yourself there. Like, and
Right.
From a mental standpoint, and like, I had to unwind from that mentality and mindset. And like I said, I loved it when I did it, but like now today, I'm like, I don't know if like that was smart. But I say that now.
You wouldn't have been a Hall of Famer if you didn't have that other guy.
No, and that's what I say. Like, it's two guys. Like, you got the gentle side, you got the love and nurturing, but you also got that switch where,
You know what? You don't
got
want to say the words violence.
No, violence, like
disrespect
that
of other
toughness.
humans. Like
No.
you don't want to say what that is.
intimidation. No, that
Yeah.
like I said, like, and here's the thing. I never thought I was dirty, but I did. I thought I'd love to agitate. I'd love to be in your face. I love to intimidate. Like that was a part of, that was just a part of what I thought it took to, be the best.
And I think this conversation is something that the football players, like now with the new rules and all that stuff,
Right.
is that it's different than even being in ownership now. Like it's different with these young players too. Like,
Yeah.
like even coaching. I said it before. When you say be violent, you'll have a coach tap you like, we can't say that word anymore. And I'm like, what word do you want me to say when I want you to choke this dude out on this line of scrimmage? Like, give me another word than violent.
Right.
Like, how do you transition from that to doing what we did,
Right.
to now not putting it out there, I guess in the ether, but you still got to play the game that way.
No, that's the only way. Here's the thing, especially on the line, when you got two guys you got a guy coming to cut you, whatever it is, like you gotta have a mentality of like when you put your helmet on, like we're gladiators. Like I saw a lot of your hits and how you played the game, like. And I'll say this, I'm glad I was right here hitting guys, but to come back from a safety position, I don't know if I was willing to do that.
Yeah.
I don't know if I was willing to do what he did.
I think you got to do what your body type requires. Hey, Chan, I definitely couldn't do that, so I needed a little running start.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But we all would like to have the type of transition that you've had, post-career. And also to be able to look back on our career and say, man, basically you're saying I was really a dog. Like I did it the right way
Right.
and done those things required in order for us to be successful. From being traded to Oakland, being there 3 years, 4 years?
4 years.
Yeah.
4 years, I finished.
At what point did you actually start thinking, all right, this thing is winding down, I got to make plan for post-career? Because I'm pretty sure whatever you have to say now in this moment, it'll help all of the younger players that are out there watching.
It was all about relationships for me. Like the relationships that I built in New England are still lifelong relationships to this day. And I always, even at the end of games, I always would go up, shake guys' hands. Like it wasn't personal. Like this is just a part of what we did. It wasn't who I am. Like I said in my Hall of Fame speech, football may be what I've done, but family and relationships is who I am. And so while I was playing, I always wanted to make sure that I leaned on the relationships that I've built and I've cultivated. And I look at it like this, even to your point, RC, a lot of people thought I was going to go to Oakland and die, right? But the relationships that I built with Al Davis that led to Mark Davis, that's put me in a position to be where I am today. Some people might have thought that it was being done the wrong way, but I always felt like this is an opportunity for me, to lean on and lean into that, no, I'm not going to die, I'm going to thrive, I'm going to live. And, to this day, people thought man, you're going from one of the best franchises to one of the worst at that time. When you look at it on the outside, who Al Davis was and the two iconic franchises that I played for in the Patriots and the Raiders, have really been a benchmark for me to bridge that gap and to be where I'm at today. So.
Yeah, you can't stop God, man. It was purpose.
Certainly.
It was purpose in that pivot.
Indeed. No, certainly it was. And, I tell my kids all the time, things are always going to happen to you, but it's obviously how you respond to it. And like I said, I had a mantra in this process because it was times where I thought the deal was going to be dead and I wasn't going to be an owner. But what kept me going and what kept me thriving, and it was probably about a 3.5 year process.
Oh, dang.
I've been working on the deal for about 3.5 years. A lot of people don't know the time, the effort that was spent into building it, flying back and forth to New York, flying back and forth to Vegas, flying all across the country, meeting with different people to really put me in a position to really capitalize on this. But throughout that process, I had a mantra, almost is not good enough. And that's the only thing that kept me going. As I said, you know what? I'm not stopping. I'm not stopping. And I think everybody around me felt that. And they were like, well, we got to find a way. Like, because he's not stopping. He's going to keep knocking on our door because it was that important for me. And so that's one of the reasons that I'm in this position. And, you know, I want to open the door for other guys, you know, like yourselves to come in and be a part of, because we built it.
Yeah.
Like, we understand what it takes. You know football. Like, we know what it takes to, you know, put together a roster, what it should look like, having the right character guys, blending that mix. And so now, just like I said, I played football, but now learning the business of football has been something for me where now I just want to take that and not only stop here at football, but I have relationships with, you know, the Boston Celtics or the Phoenix Suns or, you know, I've just cultivated so much, and it's just like been so enriching to my life and met so many great people. Well, even if we don't do a deal here, like we'll just be in a position, you know what, we'll capitalize a little bit later, but who you are, and like I said, the relationships, that's really what a lot of the deals are being done. And what I will say is, I was just thinking about this the other day, like sometimes deals die because sometimes they just take too long and a lack of momentum. And that's kind of why they die out. But like, we just need to make sure we keep dialing in.
Showing up.
Yeah, no, you got to keep showing up. And that's really what it was about for me at the end of the day, to make sure that like I was always present and my feet was here. And then, like I said, like it took a toll on me to a degree because I was just that dialed into it. But like, that's just the cost of like what it takes if it is what, you know, what you want.
Man, you know what? I used to live in the grocery store. Factor done cut it off. I know the fruit lady's gonna be hot with me for not showing up because Factor has delicious food right there already made for you. I spend time at home now.
Well, the thing is, you used to go to the grocery store to talk to the people, not actually buy the groceries. So Factor may not have cut into that, but for me, I never had the time to go to the grocery store. So now I don't have a hassle. And also, too, these meals are never frozen. They're always delivered fresh. And they have the best products and ingredients to make them.
You know, sometimes we can go fast food and feel guilty about it. But you don't have to worry about feeling guilty because you know you're getting fabulous, amazing food, some good stuff, some good nutritional stuff. That's why I choose Factor.
Head to factor75.com or click the link below and use code 50PIVOT to get 50% off plus free shipping on your first Factor box.
That's code 50PIVOT at factory75.com to get 50% off plus free shipping on your first box.
Yeah, we're gonna get to, I think, the best question on the show in a second from Freddie T. I just believe it is something he came up with. But listening to you, the word faith continues to come into my head, right? Because you're a football player who starts playing late, becomes a late bloomer, and then develops this dream. While playing football, you have a dream of what you can be afterwards. But you have to believe in these things before they actually come to fruition. Right, and faith,
No, certainly.
you know, faith in the Bible is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen.
Amen.
What has it been about your faith and belief in yourself, but also your faith and belief in God that's continued to make you believe and think that these things are possible?
Yeah, no, well, I think that's like just my faith in general. I've always been the person that just want to live it out. You know, I'm not perfect, but I've always been a person, I want to live out what it meant. Like if I never said a word about, you know, the Bible to you, I wanted you to look at my life and let it be inspiring to you. And I don't like to beat people over the head, but I want to just show them through who I am, what it means to, you know, have a wife, have kids, you know, be a pillar in the community, you know, be an upstanding gentleman. You know, where you can lean on the relationships that you've just built and you've cultivated. And again, I go back to, you know, to your point earlier, your upbringing. And I have to give a ton of credit to my parents. You know, my mom had me in church as a young kid. And I remember me and my cousins were sitting, and we were like 7, 8 years old, everybody talking about like, what do you want to be when you grow up? And my cousin said this to me, and we were like 7, 8 years old, and we talked about it maybe about 2 years ago, and I just turned 45. But she said, I remember what you told me. Like everybody saying like they went to, be an airplane pilot or whatever it was. But I told her I just wanted to be pleasing to God. And I was like 7, 8 years old. I just felt that inside. Like at a young age, that's what my desires were. Hadn't always lived up to it, but that's just been innately what's been the most important thing for me.
I love that. That's a great answer, man. I love that.
Certainly.
Do you have any regrets, football-wise, career-wise, life-wise? You have any regrets of things that has happened or decisions that you've made? Because it seems like you don't, to be honest. That's why I asked the question.
I mean, you talk to my wife, she probably say it a little different.
I saw your wife beat somebody up, but you wanted to.
That was allegedly. It wasn't true. that was alleged. That wasn't true.
He got him a real one. Shit.
But it's funny. Like the media, they will take things and turn it, and like I was there with my wife at the time and had nothing to do with it. But then when reports come out, stories come out, I mean, it all got thrown out anyway because it wasn't true. But like just having to defend something that wasn't true is just a part of, it's par for the course. And, like to whom much is given, much is respected and required.
But no, Rich, got to be something. Even like I've been locked up. And some of them was, like you're saying, like some of them was nothing. It was me bar fighting in college and all that stuff. You don't regret nothing, because that's something special to think, not to regret nothing.
Well, I didn't say I don't regret anything, but I look at it a little bit differently. I think the things that have happened have just been lessons for me, where I can take, okay, here's what's happened, but I can take that now and not just say, oh man, woe is me. Like I took that and kind of built on like learning, okay, here's what I don't do next time, or let it be a teaching tool for my kids, moving forward. Like, I mean, trust me, I'm in no way.
Yeah, it's almost like everything happens for a reason.
Yeah, no, and it's certainly, but like my grandmother used to say, man, that's the golden child. You don't mess with him. But I just always, I didn't have to learn by somebody making them, like I could just watch them, and if they made a mistake, I'd say, hey, that's not for me. This is not what I want to do, or here's not where I want to go. Mm-hmm. And that's just been a part of like who I am. Everybody's a little bit different in that regard, but we got 4 kids, and I'll say this, my daughters, my boys, yes sir, no sir, they'll do exactly what it is, but the girls, they a little bit, they need a little more tender loving.
A lot more conversations.
They taking up a lot more conversations. Certainly.
Say got a little edge to them.
They got a little bit more to them.
They melt our hearts, though. They give us that peace, too.
No, indeed.
Right.
Indeed.
I want to share with all 3 of y'all, man, because I listened to you say when you were in the 8th grade, you didn't want to get out the car.
Right.
I played Pop Warner in the 6th grade. I was awful. I played tight end and D-line. I quit after that, right? I quit because they said the guy that was on the team next year, he had a high school helmet, which had the iron face, crossbars and all of that. So I'm thinking, man, this dude gonna hurt me if he tackled me. Right. So I quit. But I eventually found my way back in the 9th grade. I played freshman in JV and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So, chill out, bro. So,
well, look at me.
Everybody ain't the 5 stars, bro. You know what I mean? Everybody ain't the 5 stars, all right? Like,
Fred was 220 in 8th grade,
but not
worried about a metal face man.
But not only that, though, I also flunked off the freshman team. And then 10th grade, I got myself together. That was an early pivot for me in life. My question to you is, aside from making the decision to get out that car, go out there and face the grown man with the beard, what's been your biggest pivot in life? That's that moment you can look back on and say, without this moment happening, I wouldn't be sitting here. I wouldn't be who I am today.
Yeah, no, man, it's a ton of them. But what I say is, when I didn't get out of the car to go play, I did not play that 8th grade year. Like, I was like, man, I'm canning it, I'm shelving it. And then I went out the following season with my teammates. Well, we played basketball together. So now we're all in high school. So it was like, I was with all of the guys, and it was like, we're all going together. Mm-hmm. And that's when I just felt more comfortable and, so those things. So, like, I think a lot of times, like, here's the other part. Like, I didn't get out of the car, but, like, I'm a Hall of Famer.
Right.
So sometimes, like in life, it's funny that way where you may think like, man, this isn't for me. I'm not cut out to do X, Y, and Z, but you can be at the pinnacle. And sometimes, like to your point, like just stepping out on that faith and just saying, you know what? For me, I've always felt like I may be afraid, and that's okay. Like we get afraid. That's a part of, like even manhood. That's a part of it. But courage is still doing the things that I don't want to do or I'm afraid to do, but I do it anyway. And I think that's something that I learned from my dad. I learned from my upbringing and my rearing. Like I've always just carried that piece of like when I played, like I always felt like I wasn't like Palomalu where I did it after every play, but I felt like I always embodied and I braced and the Lord was with me in everything that I've always done from a young kid.
Man, listen, I love it, man. I'm excited we finally got to get this done.
No, sir.
You know, I held the Patriot thing against you for a while. I was like, do we really want a Patriot?
Yeah.
But just your transition, man, your life, your journey, it's what the pivot is about. It's as much as about what you've accomplished on the field as off.
No,
and I think it's a teaching lesson for other people who want to follow in those footsteps.
No, I'm certainly honored and humbled by that, and I say that sincerely. And you know, I've always watched you guys, and I'm just saying like we need more like of this, the platform that you guys have had, the like pouring into other people's lives, and the platform that's here, man. Like I said, I'm watching and I'm inspired by it, and so like brother to brother, man, just you guys keep doing what you're doing because it's, traction and changing lives. So.
Man, thank you, bro. Appreciate you, bro.
Indeed.
That must be a defensive
Hey,
thing.
you talking about, I might have pushed it.
He almost picked you up when he had you.
Bro, I was talking about that.
Like a little nephew, he was about to pick you
I
off
was
the
talking
ground.
about they had a training camp fight, right? So it was lineman fight. So I try to run over there. So I'm basically just holding the lantern. I ain't doing that. Man, Ramon Foster grabbed me from behind like this and walked me out of the pile with my feet off the ground. I said, yeah, I'm just gonna go. Clearly, this is not my fight.
Hold up, limitless. Take a stomach, got pin in it. I fought the head to witness it. Got my people feeling militant. Way I'm feeling, got me up. On the mission, got me up. Knowing me, I got the key. On this vision, I can trust. Limitless. Take a stomach, got pin in it. I fought the head to witness it. Got my people feeling militant. Way I'm feeling.